yo, what's poppin'? What's crack-a-lackin'? What's really good? Thank you for listening to The Rope Break, your source for news, opinions, and anything else that revolves around the world of professional wrestling. It is I, the Samoan scintillator of all your senses, JoeMaga. Bret the Hitman is on suspension for wellness violation. Once again, he gets like 30 strikes. It's all good. And I am with my boy. He's a lot like Princess Diana and Pink Floyd because his last greatest hit was The Wall.
Wow.
Shockmaster Grizz, say what up to him, Grizz.
I'm like Kate Winslet, Jack, because I won't let go.
Nice. And it's great to see you, brother.
Oh, my gosh. I don't want to go on the air and just, like, make out with the idea of JoeMaga and this podcast. I love it. It's phenomenal. Let's do the talking, because we have so much to talk about.
Ditto.
Everything is everything.
Wrestling is everything right now. As much as I am struggling to keep up with it, to be very, very honest with you.
It's a lot to keep up with.
But I'm really enjoying a lot of it.
And the product that is most readily available is, lukewarm at times. It's like there's just so much.
There is so much, and the product that is readily available is the WWE, but so many other products are readily available too.
Becoming more so.
And we'll dive way into that later. Let's get into the gauntlet, shall we?
Yes. So now the gauntlet, if you do recall, my friends, is where we just rattle off a topic and answer a question. We get a minute to do this. We're going to warm ourselves up and get your eardrums vibrating. The first topic here we have is Impact Wrestling. Believe it or not. Impact Wrestling has barely emerged from the still smoldering ashes of total nonstop action. Yet, alongside their parent company Anthem Sports and Entertainment Corp., they have together absorbed the promising recent startup called Global Force Wrestling. Jeff Jarrett famously founded both TNA and GFW, and he has been awarded the title of Chief Creative Officer under Impact's newer, bigger umbrella. Now, as soon as Double J publicly returned to the TNA Impact fold, it seemed a foregone conclusion that the two companies would merge. Is this sweeping gesture by Anthem enough to step out of the shadow of TNA and create a more prominent wrestling product?
Well, first things first, you lost me at umbrella because there's only two umbrellas that matter in wrestling right now. One of them is Marty Scurll's.
And it sold for like $2,000.
I saw there was some mark online that was like, got my umbrella today, and everyone was like, no, you didn't. but it was hysterical. And then the other umbrella is the one that Jack Gallagher doesn't have on 205 Live.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, that's a crappy statement. Anyway, no, I don't think they're emerging, especially in the climate that we talked so much about, and we will talk so much about on this podcast. TNA just doesn't have it right now. Excuse me, Impact Wrestling, and for that very thing. Sorry, we saw Global Force Wrestling already fail in Impact. They did that whole King of the Mountain Wrestling Championship thing, and then they do it all again. Looks like a reboot. How many reboots is this company going to get?
I think every time we do a podcast, we are talking about the latest TNA reboot, right?
Exactly.
And I do feel like Anthem is going to commit enough resources and have brought back the mind that made TNA at least worth watching when it started. You know what I mean? Maybe not the talent because they're all in WWE now. But yeah, I don't know. I think it could be moving in the right direction at the very least. Sure.
Unfortunately, the last this set of tapings has been absolutely unbearable.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was almost seamless. The next, if you would please, Joe.
Sure. After a few weeks of intrigue and speculation, Colin Cassidy of Enzo and Cass revealed himself as Enzo Amore's mysterious backstage attacker, with a captivating and scathing in-ring promo, a great promo, complete with a malicious beatdown. That moment was so strong that a single teardrop could be seen falling from the charismatic fan favorite Enzo's cheek. It was like Sacagawea.
It was real. It was awesome.
It wasn't Sacagawea, though. That was Squatting Bull with a tear, wasn't it? Anyway, one of those Indians. It was so well performed that the predictability was forgiven, in my opinion.
Which is my opinion.
Which is Shockmaster's opinion. Is this, in fact, the best breakup since Shawn Michaels put Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window?
That is a question, is it not? My statement would be it's the best breakup of a tag team. I think this was better than the Shield breakup because the Shield breakup was done too soon. There was no point, and in my estimation, I mean, I guess you needed 3 individual stars, so it's kind of spread the love. But they were just building momentum at that time. The Mega Powers was great with Hogan and Savage. I mean, we're talking about like classic.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't know if this is classic, but for the kids who are watching this product right now, Mike Wozniak's 2 children can recite every word Enzo Amore says every single time he comes out of the ring. And I'm sure little Stevie probably cried.
I thought that this was well done, and the promo was excellent until this past week when they revisited it. I think a lot of the revisit was, did you see this? Cass came out and I screwed that up, but I lost my train.
Well, they came out together, right?
Tough.
Trying to make it right, and then he turned right back on him.
Right, and so that kind of laid the foundation for a match. It seemed to me like last week they weren't even going to have a match. They were going to go their separate ways, and then that was going to be the end of it, because they didn't really have a point of the match, right? But no, I don't think that this is the greatest. I think the Mega Maniacs was my favorite.
Yeah, of course. I would also go so far as to say is what's going to happen with Enzo, because...
Yeah, we'll talk about that, sure.
In case you haven't heard, LeVar Ball and his sons are the Kardashians of the NBA. He was a forgettable Division II college basketball player and a practice squad NFL player, but his attachment to his UCLA standout son and recent amped-up antics have caught the media's attention. With Monday Night Raw in Los Angeles, the Lakers' first overall pick, Lonzo, was a guest during Miz TV, along with his brother and old man. Out of nowhere, the 15-year-old little brother LaMelo uttered the N-word not once, but twice, and audibly. My question to you is, do you fault WWE for lacking control over the segment, the young man for not knowing better, the father for allowing that kind of language in the first place, or society as a whole? And I mean, I'm kind of ragging on it, but seriously, it's a word, but whatever. Seriously, is it a big deal?
In my opinion, no. Now, mind you, I am not necessarily someone. Well, it's so commonplace in our society, and there's not a 15-year-old African American male who does not use that word. I'm not even sure that this kid understood what he was even saying or doing. No, I don't think it's on the WWE at all. Good on them for making the apology. They had to make it. I don't think it ever needs to be a big deal beyond this. Lonzo is. Man, he's a pain in the ass to watch in the media. I can't stand it.
I'm so sick of it.
I'm almost rooting against them. But they're good heels. Maybe he can come back and be like a heel manager.
Lonzo. You mean LeVar, the dad?
No, Lonzo is the dad, isn't he? No, LeVar is the dad. Correct. Right. LeVar
I'm just saying, if this keeps them off of WWE, I'm happy. Because who knows
not coming back.
If they wanted him to come back and like do some stupid fucking arrow shit.
No,
Forgive my language.
That's not going to happen. But I just don't think that this is a big deal in any way, shape, or form.
Good.
It doesn't say anything about society either. It's the same status quo. This is me. Sorry. Seth Rollins has proven to be one of the most standout performers during WWE's new era, and now has filled both roles of top heel and full-blown babyface. Despite a lengthy run with the premier WWE World Heavyweight Championship, he hasn't sniffed a legit title shot since returning from 2 injuries. Are Rollins' programs with Triple H, Samoa Joe, and now Bray Wyatt worthy of a lofty position the Architect has so recently held? And can he climb back to the top of the mountain despite so much quality opposition and the one and only champion of the universe?
I do think that he can reclaim the seat of top guy because he's that good. The question the question that I was asking for the most part is, like, you've got Finn Balor, you've got Reigns, you've got all these guys who they want to push. It's almost an embarrassment of riches. Where what do you do? You don't do anything with the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, The Miz is doing everything with that belt. Forgive me, because he's the best, but he's just still feuding with Ambrose. You got all these other guys who got to get some Kool-Aid.
Sure, absolutely. I think that I don't know what you do, to be quite honest with you, because I like Rollins' character right now. I like that he's connecting with kids and teens. He's kind of that like teenage guy, like, hey man, here's what we need to do. Like he's really seems to be relatable on that level, and I think he needs to stick with that character. But like you said, he might not be able to stand out among other characters that are so powerful these days.
Yeah, absolutely, perfect, good. And then the last question for our gauntlet segment here today. Now, this is speculation from a Mark, myself, who watches it all unfold on television. But if I were to guess, and this is speaking of The Miz, I would say that The Miz has enjoyed the best run of his entire career and visibly had the most fun with his wife Maryse by his side. If internet journalism can be believed, WWE put the kibosh on their pairing when the former Divas champion... with his former Divas champion wife, in favor of his new Miztourage, reason being that this incarnation of Eminem is too similarly reflected by the re-debuting Maria Kanellis and her husband, Ring of Honor standout Michael Bennett, Mike Kanellis, which is great, and I love the gimmick. We'll get into that. Does Miz and Maryse really come across like the love-struck duo on SmackDown, or are we being unnecessarily deprived of WWE's true power couple in favor of a social outcast upgrade?
Yes, 100% we are that. This is not good. They don't need to separate Miz and Maryse at all, in my opinion. Their chemistry is so undeniable that by taking the Bennetts, I'm sorry, I'm trying to speak quickly, that's the Bennett... the Kanellis gimmick or whatever, they didn't even bring them out on SmackDown this week. They're not, like, why build somebody up so much on a pay-per-view only to not even have them return? They
got a huge pop.
They did like a .com segment. And the Eminem thing, I mean, you said it, if they were the outcasts coming up to be like the actual Miztourage and beat people up and help him win, but they're just going to get beat up left and right.
He needs more stunt doubles, right?
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I mean, I wrote the question pretty biasedly, but yeah, I think it's awful. I don't see any good reason to lose those that pairing, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was the gauntlet.
Yeah, I just think The Miz has been the best thing on TV.
Sure, and with where does Maryse go from here?
I think she goes back home. Where was she when The Miz was, Yeah. Where did she go the whole time?
Yeah, I think but she made such a name for herself. She's not going to get in the ring right now. They were great as heels. And
I'm just hoping all that internet speculation is wrong. And, like, maybe she just doesn't want to be on the road anymore. I would hate to think that something that narrow-minded would stop something that had so much momentum, in my opinion.
I don't think it is directly related to the Kanellis thing as much as people do.
Okay.
Because we don't even know where they want to go with Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett, and they don't even know if Mike Bennett's going to get over.
Right.
If
aside from that massive pop when they debuted.
Well, right, but they also have Shinsuke Nakamura doing backstage segments where he shouldn't even be talking on a microphone.
Accurate.
So my point being that when you get to the WWE, it's always, no matter what, now that they're at least letting guys have their names, except for the Kanellisuses, that, you haven't done it until you've done it here. Now, Maria has done it here to an extent, not in this current climate, but, I don't think that they're going to be able to just say, take the Miz and Maryse away from each other based on the fact that the Kanellisuses might get over.
Right. No, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think that was the reasoning. Cool. Maybe she just wants to go home.
Yeah. Hey.
Or maybe they want to break it up and bring them back together down the line. Like, maybe that's a storyline and the Miztourage. But I just hope they don't. I can't picture who they're going to line Maryse up with if that's the case.
If she's sticking around, yeah.
Because who did they line her up with back in the day?
Layla.
There was a guy at some point, and it wasn't good. But yeah, she was with Layla. But there was she was Lay Cool. No, that was Michelle McCool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It's not like it wasn't not like Miz. You know what I mean? It's just
no. But yeah, so we can jump right into chain wrestling then. I think at that point,
sure.
We could just take on some topics and just kind of shoot from the hip and go. So far, In my opinion, with the recent results of the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I've been going to NEW shows, and I've seen Cody Rhodes as their champion. He just won the Ring of Honor championship from the guy that everyone wanted to win the Ring of Honor championship, Sir Christopher Daniels.
So you thought so? I thought that Chris Daniels might have been a little bit of a in-between champion.
Well, I think him getting the belt was really important to Ring of Honor. Like, It had to happen, so you had to give it to him, no matter what. Even if he was if he was a placeholder champ, as you know, I've called them, which I just can't see that purely being the case.
No, sorry,
Imagine if he retired without winning that belt, man. I mean, that would have just been a travesty.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he doesn't do it for me. He never, you know.
But he was right there, day one Ring of Honor.
Sure. He was.
And as soon as he could get out of exclusivity with TNA, he did. And Brock Kazarian with him, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so was Jimmy Rave. He doesn't need to be the ROH champion. You know, it's even you know, Jimmy Jacobs doesn't need to be the ROH champion.
All right.
You know,
I don't know. It seems like there's a different tier.
It does, and it
does,
and he
those matches with Joe and AJ,
absolutely, he was incredible. But I just didn't feel like that even really carried over. And they did a good job of telling the history. They did a great job with this story. I just didn't feel like he needed to be that champion right then and there. I loved the Bullet Club infiltration thing, but it's weird now. It's like they're transitioning to heel too. But let's get back to what you were talking about with Cody and the.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking over the non-WWE world. He's got a shot at the New Japan title. They're expanding into the U.S., which we'll talk about at length. I mean, there's a question of, is he riding the Bullet Club wave, like, because they're already really popular?
Yeah, no, not necessarily, because he was already getting top booking at every single indie show he was doing before he joined the Bullet Club.
Right.
And you know, hey, if he knows what it takes to elevate his career, if that's the case, he's doing a great job with or without them too. They're not showing up with him at every show. You know what I mean? And so, the show I saw him at in Newburgh recently, he had the Bullet Club gear, but that was really
he was too sweetened and stuff. But it's not like Hangman Page came down and interfered, right?
And when you see him on these like these YouTube videos and stuff, as he looks like the leader. And he acts accordingly. So it's not like he's just, you know, I'm trying to think of the NWO comparison, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well, like bringing Savage into the Wolfpack.
Right.
Would be like, well, Nash is the leader. Why did you bring Randy Savage into it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I don't think he's just riding a wave. I think that the wave is there for him to be ridden, and everybody else seems to be on board with it. It's not like it was WCW. Here's my comparison. It's not like it was WCW booking, and it was like, all right, today Dusty's gonna throw the NWO shirt on. You know what I mean? Like today, you know what? Now we want to move some things around. You're gonna join the NWO, and I don't care what any of you say about it. Yeah. It's not like that. I would be willing to bet that as a collective, the Bullet Club was like, hey, let's have Cody. We're losing Adam Cole. We don't have AJ. We don't have Fergal. So I think that's kind of the natural progression.
Sure. And the American Nightmare is just such a great name.
It's perfect.
They're infiltrating the U.S.
Did you see that Hot Topic is selling all of the Bullet Club gear now?
Yep.
On a national level.
That's awesome.
That is cool. That is really cool. I'm having trouble bringing myself in this day and age to buy a Bullet Club shirt with 2 machine guns on them.
Sure. Okay.
Not necessarily because of even my beliefs on guns or anything like that. It's just, it seems jarring in society to be touting a shirt with.
And maybe in Japan, it's not.
It's not,
you
obviously.
Know what I mean?
Right. But here, I'm not going to wear that shirt anywhere else but at a wrestling show.
No.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, I love that American Nightmare shirt. And I love the Kenny Omega shirt, too. It's like all pixelated, like an old video game, but it's still the Bullet Club logo. And the Bucks Bullet Club shirt, have you seen that one?
Yeah, they all look super cool, for sure. I agree with what you're saying, 100%. Like, how do you... there's some metal bands. I'm like, I'm not going to wear that shirt anywhere.
Understood.
You're out of your mind.
Yep.
Like, Naked Dead Ladies, like, I don't want to wear that to the grocery store. You know what I mean?
I guess you're supposed to wear it to the show, maybe?
Yeah. You're supposed to represent, but same with wrestling. I mean, you know, I wear any of my wrestling shirts anywhere I go. You know, I'm representing.
Yeah,
if
sure.
somebody asks me what it is, I want to tell them like happily what I'm wearing.
That's my point.
I don't want somebody to look at me and be like, Bullet Club?
Yeah.
What kind of club is that?
Exactly.
You know, because they're not wrestling fans.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's got like skulls and guns and stuff on it. So, you know, and talk to me when I walk past Hot Topic and see the shirts in there. And see if I get
and
one.
watch you walk out with a plastic bag.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great. I mean, that kind of rolls into the whole topic of New Japan coming stateside.
Sure. Before we get into that,
right?
Because this will segue better. You made a statement to me last night on a text message.
Oh, good.
That said that you believed that Ring of Honor is in the best possible. How did you word it? What was your opinion on Ring of Honor?
I kind of said that Ring of Honor, as far as any American company is murdering wrestling, is totally just kicking ass completely. Like everything they do is good.
Okay,
everything
in storylines and stuff. Right?
Yeah, okay. Storylines, the in-ring product, everything they do is fantastic. Some of the stuff is a little spotty, you know, little kind of just like, what was that? But
yeah, I mean that's okay with me. But you know, here's the thing: is that I can't credit Ring of Honor for that. I can't justify crediting Ring of Honor for that. In America, it's the WWE, in my opinion. The work rate has been excellent. There's been great matches, and some of the storylines are very good.
This generation of athletes.
We saw excellent promos this week from fucking Carmella and Big Cass. Like, both of them had scathing promos, as you put it, right? So, in my opinion, all the good stuff happening in Ring of Honor, with the exception of a few and far between, is New Japan's relationship with Ring of Honor. If it was not for the complete influx of New Japan talent, storylines, and style into the Ring of Honor product right now, there would be no Ring of Honor product. Plus, all the backstage stuff with Delirious, who seems to be just that. And you know, all he's doing is being threatened by everybody to come. He's afraid of losing his spot, and so he's booking himself right into the ground because he's trying to do all these weird, quirky things that aren't really connecting, and they're not doing a good job of bringing up new talent. Some of that is the WWE, because the WWE is like raping and pillaging the indie culture, which they need to stop doing too, because on the flip side, right now, everything is rising up in the indie thing. We're seeing great stars, and everything is moving good because everything is revolving. But as the WWE continues to pick up these guys and pick up these guys and pick up these guys, they're going to take all the life out of that and not be able to have. No one else is going to be a barren wasteland like it was for the last 15 years since WCW went out, because there was no breeding ground.
Sure.
But with that said, I am not convinced. I loved the Best in the World pay-per-view, but I think that's more due to New Japan and their role as opposed to Ring of Honor's role.
Okay.
That being said, yes, New Japan is coming stateside very, very soon. I believe it is this weekend. Yes,
yeah.
7/1 is the first show. They're going to Long Beach, California. It's the beginning of the G1. Which is interesting. And then there's also going to be 8 participants in the inaugural United States Championship tournament. So this is the first time that there will be a U.S. title for New Japan. And, it makes sense.
And it kind of reminds me of WWE getting a UK title.
Sure.
So they can have a presence over there when they're not there.
Yep.
You've got, you can, I don't know, maybe because you hear the name so much, I was like, oh, it's going to be Kenny Omega. And it's, I was talking to my dude Xander yesterday, and he's not so convinced. He watches New Japan like all the time, and he was explaining to me why this guy could win it, this guy could win it, a lot of different stuff. But
we know how American wrestling works.
Yeah,
and I don't know the conversation that you had, or I do watch enough New Japan product to sort of know that their minds are probably leaning toward putting that strap on Kenny Omega. It only makes sense in a dollars and cents standpoint.
Right.
Because he was the first first foreigner to ever win the New Japan, G1. He's had the matches of the decade, supposedly, with Okada, and I would agree with that. They were great matches. And, the only thing is that the way the tournament is set up, I could see how he might lose. So the tournament as it stands right now is Jay Lethal versus Hangman Page, which that Hangman Page character is the first time that I've really been able to watch Adam Page since he really broke away from the decade, and it's much better than it was. And he's improved, and he's not like a child. He doesn't look like a child anymore.
Sure. And in interviews I've read, he's very optimistic. He's very he's embracing, the new role. Yeah, and the gimmick with the noose and all that, I really like that. I thought that was cool. Omega versus Elgin. It would make sense to put the U.S. strap on Elgin for the first time, but he's not going to beat Kenny Omega in the first round. Right. Then there's Juice Robinson and Zack Sabre Jr. That match is going to be killer. Well, and you could see Zack Sabre winning it, too. I could, but not necessarily in New Japan. I do know that Zack Sabre is not necessarily interested in the WWE right this second. So that's interesting to think about. And then Tomohiro Ishii versus Naito. I think they're just going to kill each other. Tomohiro Ishii, I enjoy watching him so much. And Tetsuya Naito is good, too. This is probably going to be the best match in the first round of the tournament, without a doubt. But this is just the match that's going to get New Japan over with the American crowd. This is going to be strong style to the fullest. Dudes are going to get hurt, probably. I say that, though, but I feel like I heard Kenny Omega in an interview, and it really rung a bell. He was saying that, no, strong style is not where people are going to get hurt. Strong style is just the opposite. It's you lay it in there in a way that it doesn't hurt, for a reason. It's professional wrestling,
exactly. So,
right?
I do feel like, but see, now is an organization like Ring of Honor start kind of to blame for that, the way that strong. Me personally, I'm viewing strong style, and I know a lot of other wrestling fans are, that it's not just headbutt each other like poor. Oh my God, his name escapes me right now, but Tanahashi. Is it Tanahashi? Could be.
Well, Tanahashi's like John Cena over there.
Right, yes. And so he's not, and he's laid up pretty bad because of some headbutt spots. Yeah. Which is it's 2017. And I know you're different. I know, aneurysms and everything, bro. Bad news. He's never going to wrestle again, unfortunately. But back to the tournament, looking forward to that. The G1 kicks off as well. And I think we should all be very excited with the New Japan, this young New Japan prospect coming up, making his debut by the name of Billy Gunn. Yeah. That's a weird.
Oh, you didn't know?
That's a weird situation, but good for him. It makes a little sense.
They like big white guys, right?
Yeah. You know what tag team I really enjoyed, but it's weird because they're not going to be able to sustain, was they call themselves the Best Friends. It's Trent Beretta and oh my God, Chuck Taylor. And they did a great job at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, but Roppongi Vice is still in the picture. And they're one of my favorite tag teams, without a doubt. Tag team wrestling on the indie scene is the best.
Wrestling's good right now as a whole, man. There's so much going on. It's so good.
Is this the most exciting time since 1996 in wrestling?
That is a phenomenal question that I've actually pondered recently, and it's it's got to be. No matter how you want to complain about how this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen, and WWE's a little stale and they're pushing too many people at once, and there are complaints to be had, but I don't know, man. As a whole, there's so much else to do and watch, and mobile networks and that's NXT, dude. Yep. NXT is so good.
Yep, it's great. NXT is great, and I really enjoy all the takeovers. They do such a good job at building this stuff. And back to what you said about their
pace is so much better than WWE pace. Everything is rushing in WWE. It's like, we got to get to the next pay-per-view, but there's another pay-per-view in 2 weeks. NXT is like, no, we're going to do one pay-per-view every 4 months, 3 months.
Sure.
And it's going to be better.
Yeah. I do know. And one of my favorite parts about this whole wrestling scene is the accessibility to stuff. Like you get to pick and choose and watch whatever you want, and man, it really is like something new. So yes, I would agree with you. This is
my
the best
new
time.
favorite wrestler, the Man Scout, Jake Manning, who you can see in NEW. He was telling me there's a network. It costs $10 a month. It's just like WWE Network, but it's all indie wrestling. Like you can see anything.
Flow Slam. Is he talking about Flow Slam?
I don't know.
It's Flow Slam. Flow Slam at the very least. Flow Slam does the same thing, and it's great quality.
I was like, "Where can I watch your matches, dude? Are you all over YouTube?" And he's like, "Get this app. You can watch basically any indie wrestling show ever."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
he's talking about Flow Slam.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good product. At least follow them on social media, even if you don't subscribe, because they show matches live. Today I saw a live podcast. Right on Flow Slam. It was great quality, and they were talking about some substantial stuff. So I thought it was. I think Flow Slam's a great idea. And back to the '96 thing.
Yeah,
I heard Dave Meltzer talking to it was Cody being interviewed, and he mentioned that Dave Meltzer told him that this is the best era since 1996.
Okay.
There's so many things.
See, I had just thrown that out there as when was it this exciting? And I thought, the NWO.
Yeah.
Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's so exciting in such a different way because you get whatever you want. If you want to watch Kaiju Battle, do you know what that is?
No.
Kaiju Big Battle is a wrestling promotion in which guys dress up like there's a T-Rex and there's a shark.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they do all these crazy things and make a mess in the ring and spill shit all over the place. Or you can go watch Japanese death matches. Or you can go watch Ring of Honor, which has a little bit of everything. Did you see that fucking strap match from Kazarian? With Kazarian and...
I didn't, but I heard it was pretty good.
I enjoyed it. Now, I have heard people say that it was a bit too violent.
Ooh.
This was not your Dusty Rhodes tap the four corners strap match. They had these little 2 to 3 foot straps wrapped around their hands, and they just used them.
Wow.
Dude, Kazarian smacked him in the face with his leather strap so hard. But he sold well too. He took a beating. He had the welts. My God, man, the welts. And then Hangman brought out a strap that had thumbtacks and spikes in it.
Oh God.
That's where people got a little, and they used
cringed.
Yeah, but they didn't. It wasn't like deathmatch. Just use it over and over and over again. It was tease, one good whack, and that was pretty much the end of it. But for all those reasons, I do think that wrestling is the best it is since 1996. The accessibility, the variety, and just the overall notion that all these guys have to step their game up at any given moment. If you see Cody in NEW on a Saturday night, it's the same Cody that you're going to see on pay-per-view.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. You could see him fight Kurt Angle in Waterbury, Connecticut at a high school. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
If we're done with New Japan for now, that could be a pretty sweet segue into In This Corner, because part of that conversation, in my estimation, is what's happening locally, and it's insane. I only just started going again recently. You know what I mean? I only got back into wrestling because of the pipe bomb, which is now 6 years ago yesterday. And I remember when you and I were talking, and it's I didn't really watch much in the early 2000s because Edge. And it's that whole thing where it was Cena, Edge, Orton, Batista. It just, no matter the fact that the Undertaker was still there all the time and Paul Heyman was around, and it was just kind of a lull, right? And
then looking back in hindsight at that lull, it's not that none of these guys were good. It was just so repetitive.
Sure.
Constant repetition. And even at the end of the Attitude Era, it was all right, man,
yeah.
Enough of Vince's ass, enough of all this weird stuff, him touching all the girls all the time, and then that was it. Yeah. So, yes, I agree with you there, but
Yeah, to keep going, I started going to indie shows more, and obviously I'm training. We talk about that. It's just so phenomenal that you can go every single weekend. You can go to a wrestling show, man, and you know what? They're good guys. The local guys are good. NEW brings in Ryback and Jack Swagger for anybody who watches TV, but I mean, Man Scout Jake Manning. Alberto Del Rio in Waterbury, Connecticut, more recently than Cody and Kurt Angle, like after the match, like grabbed the mic and talked for like 10 minutes about like, this guy's good.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are here to see me, but this guy is fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, come to these shows and watch these guys because you can't see this in WWE because he hates, he's got his beef. But
sure. But even on the local level, well, first of all, let me say this: we do live in a very prominent part of the country. We always have.
We live in the shadow of Titan Towers.
Right. And not only that, but like, there's always been so many prospects that come out of this area and all those things, probably because of being in the shadow of Titan Towers, like you said. But even on the real local level, guys like the tag team match at the Newburgh event, it was the Battle Brothers versus the Now.
I love the Now, dude.
Vic Delicious and another guy. Who's the other guy?
I don't remember. Is Derek something McHale?
Yes. Yeah. And that was a cage. It was the curtain jerker, but it was a cage match for the tag titles, and it was excellent. Some great spots and some really good storytelling. I'm enjoying so much that's going on in NEW, especially, but PWA's got some crazy stuff going on.
They do.
Right?
This is actually the biggest time of year for PWA. They have their Tough 8 tournament. It's the 7th annual Tough 8 tournament. You know what I mean? The first 2 years, Azrael, who was a Ring of Honor guy, won the Tough 8. And they've got 7 of the 8 participants chosen, including the international champion Sebastian Cage, who's sick. He's fucking sick. Like, he should be on TV. You know what I mean? And they don't have all of the normal guys in, like Hippie Dicky Moon, who's the most recent former international champion, has not won his way into the tournament yet. He may get that 8th spot. Nathaniel Carr, who's been there for ages, the Elm City sensation. There's all kinds of, they're really like livening it up. There's new guys. This guy Pena, I don't remember his first name. He's a stud. He's tall, jacked, super athletic.
When's the tournament kicking off?
The tournament is next Friday, so the 7th, Friday the 7th, over in Cheshire. And this Friday they have the final show before the tournament. And it's a bunch of hype, man. They're going to go out of their way to make it special because they want you to go to the Tough 8. Tough 8 itself is the 8 guys, 4 singles matches, then 2 singles matches, and then they culminate with the winner who gets a Money in the Bank-like shot of their choosing at any time. But there's also what they're calling...
Great stakes.
Yeah, they're also having what they call a ladder royal. They're having a battle royal. And when it gets down to 6 guys, it turns into a ladder match. And that individual who wins that becomes the not, you don't get a shot whenever you want it. You become the number 1 contender to whatever title you want in the company.
Interesting.
It's all cool stuff, and that's all going to happen in one day. And on July 7th, it's going to be fantastic. There's a lot of really good feuds. Sebastian Cage, the international champ, has been feuding with Mantequilla, who is a luchador. Mantequilla means butter in Spanish. He's hilarious. He's got a blue suit, and there's like yellow, like it looks like the Outsiders with the blood, but it's butter. He's great. There's countless guys who are really good. Matthias Glass, he's a big. His gimmick is that he's Jewish.
Okay.
He's hilarious, but he's really good too. He's a stout dude. He's tough. Everyone in this thing is really good. It's definitely going to be worth watching.
Makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Makes his opponents feel guilty.
Well, that's it. Oi! Yeah. He wrote a poem on Facebook. It was like, roses are red, violets are bluish. I'm Jewish.
Nice. That's cool. That's great. So make sure
$5 too. You want to pay $5 to see a tournament to crown an annual tournament that is always, a barn burner. and a ladder royal for $5.
Very cool. That's Pro Wrestling Academy, PWA. Follow them on Facebook. Follow them on social media all across the board. And don't forget the Friday night fights. And this tournament is looking
legit.
Yeah, it is looking legit.
And then NEW also. I mean, I don't want to be a supermark for for any particular local brand because we want to support everybody. But I mean, NEW is great. Flip Gordon is a regular there, and he just signed with Ring of Honor. Wrecking Ball Legursky is homegrown. Ron Zombie, Bull Dread, all these guys are just, fantastic. Dan DeMann is so good.
Yep.
All these guys are fantastic, and they're in July 14th. They're going to be in Danbury.
The return of the one-man army. Brian Anthony is coming back. New Milford Zone's coming back.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy, Ricochet, but he's fighting Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, that's gonna be one hell of a match. A great draw too for the city of Danbury, and it's been a while since NEW ran Danbury. I know Big Time has run Danbury a bunch of times in the past few years, and they're fun. The difference between Big Time and NEW is that Big Time has their guys, but they also rely on a lot of nostalgia, and they're always great.
Sting in. Yeah.
Sting, Flair, Steamboat, all that stuff, and it's great. It's always great. But NEW is really on the cutting edge of a lot of different things, and as is PWA. So with that, everybody, make sure you get out to a local indie show, especially.
I just told you about one every weekend for the next 3 weeks, for the next month.
Sure.
We just told you about shows to go check out. Affordable shows.
Yeah. The crowds are so fun, and it's a great place to take your kids too. Regardless of what level you are of your markdom, if you will, it's always a good place to take your kids and your family, and everyone always has a really good time. It's always nice to cheer the good guys and boo the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right on. So with that, why don't we move on to the final segment of the evening? It's a new segment that Shockmaster Grizz has come up with, and what have we got for the boys?
So I like this idea. I call it the count of 5. I couldn't decide if I want to call it that or I've got till 5, ref. I was thinking, it's 5 or 10. 10 seems like a lot, especially when it's just the two of us. For this week, it's definitely the count of 5. It's just we're going to find a relevant topic in wrestling and do a little countdown because everyone loves countdowns. I would watch a countdown of like the top 10 pieces of furniture if it was on VH1 and like, Chris Jericho was talking about it,
Yep.
So this count of 5 is related to Cody Rhodes. I have picked 3. I can do 2 if you've already picked some for yourself, Mr. MAGA. But I think 1 or 2 of these are kind of indisputable. Top 5 WWE departures who thrived after leaving. So you left the pinnacle, went somewhere else, and it benefited your career drastically.
Ooh.
Does Cody Rhodes count as a top 5?
Oh, without a doubt. He's doing very well for himself. Now, are we talking specifically... I mean, I guess fame comes with money anyway, so...
Sure, but I guess I mean the career as a whole.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't put Ryback on this list, personally.
Okay, no.
I mean, what's he...
He's getting top booking. Top-ish. Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
I wouldn't put him in there,
okay.
Personally. He hasn't won a belt anywhere that I've seen.
No, but people like his podcast, and he makes money through it. But that's not wrestling. So anyway, okay, all right. So we'll leave Ryback out of this. The first one, in my opinion, because I think this is because I've been so New Japan centric as of late, but Stan Hansen was incredible.
And who goes to history but JoeMaga? That's phenomenal. I'm so glad you said that because I didn't even think of it. Stan
Hansen is the first one I can think of. Now let's bring it new school real quick, from the old school, way old school to super new school real quick. Does Jinder Mahal count? Now is that something different?
The way it's worded, top WWE departures who thrived after leaving.
He left.
That leaves an opening.
For
that, but the intention was did better elsewhere.
Sure.
And he didn't do anything elsewhere.
Right.
He was going to open a Subway.
Right. Exactly.
So, And I'm not. That wasn't a racial joke.
No,
like,
no.
I've read that in an interview.
Yes. Wait a second. Let me go back. I'm not even going to touch that one because is that only? I always just assumed it was a Connecticut thing.
I've traveled this great country of ours for the last 2 years,
All right.
and that's a thing.
Eaten fresh.
Gas stations too.
Stay away from those kids, Jared. Okay, so, who I thinking about that. All right, so
the three that I put in this, because I don't think we're just going to limit it to three. I think we're just going to talk about it, which is fine. I mean, Hogan, and you would say what? He went to WCW and feuded with Kevin Sullivan, and it was horrible, right? But the NWO brother, it's the only way he was ever going to successfully turn heel, and it reignited his career and extended it by 20 fucking years, dude. Like, he definitely, that was the only role he could fill in a wrestling capacity, was a heel who had to cheat to win at that age, right?
Yep.
Him, Hall and Nash as well, and I bundle that together because you have to, because you can't just take 3 spots in the top 5 with those guys doing the same angle.
Yep.
Hall and Nash, I mean, yeah, did Diesel win the world title in WWE? Sure, but they didn't know what to do with him. He didn't really get that over, and the product was kind of not, flailing.
Sure.
And Razor was never gonna win a world title, from what I gather. Not that he did in WCW.
Not with Shawn and Diesel there,
right?
And Brett too.
So these guys, I think, benefited. They could be number one, but
okay. Now, what about guys like the Natural Dustin Rhodes? His debut was in the WWF. That whole thing with $1 Million Man and Virgil and his dad Dusty, right? So he went to WCW and was the United States champion for a long time. He was one of the top guys. He feuded with a lot of great guys, not including that ridiculous Bunkhouse Stampede match on the back of that flatbed truck with Bunkhouse Buck. But that was terrible, horrendous. That was like so close to being pre-Goldust after that. But I'm trying to think of some guy. The one I
just want to throw this out there real quick because I didn't even realize it. This is so natural for Cody Rhodes to leave and make it somewhere else. Dusty made his name elsewhere.
The territory thing is
Dusty made his name elsewhere.
Moving around the territories, making shows, making towns and stuff is so Rhodes.
Makes so much sense.
It does.
Okay, sorry for the departure, but that just struck me.
It does. Yep, absolutely. One of the guys.
I think Stan Hansen is probably number one. I think you nailed that one. But.
Yeah. Man, there's just so many though too.
Well, another one that I put down is Raven. Johnny Polo leaves WWF to become like the face of one of the most popular wrestling companies in America.
But you know what though? He was in WCW first.
Right.
Yeah.
But when he got
as a worker.
Yeah, and he left there too. But when he got to WWE, creative had nothing for him. He wasn't even wrestling, and then he left, and then became Raven, which
that's a good one.
That changed his life.
That's a good one. John Morrison, I don't know, man. The Lucha Underground thing was good.
I was just looking for another name.
Sure.
I don't know that John Morrison was necessarily a candidate, but I mean, he is pretty much the only gringo face of.
Is there anyone any TNA workers, Impact workers, that you would consider under this guise?
No, not at all. I mean, Drew McIntyre, you know what it is? Sadly, I think it's because of where they went.
I mean, people are fans. People are fans of Angle. Still, but he was like amazing in WWE. But people are fans of Christian's run in TNA. Yeah. But you're saying is that they're not equally as successful.
Not even,
I see what
close.
You're saying. Right.
Like,
how about the opposite?
There's
plenty of opposites. Bret Hart, number 1.
Oh, bummer. Yeah. Totally sad. I mean, if you want to go opposite and say who came to WWE and it didn't work, like Lex Luger.
Dusty.
Polka dots.
I mean, Dusty worked, but he wasn't the American Dream, baby.
He didn't run the show.
Hard times, Daddy. There was none of that.
No. Sweet sapphire.
Yeah. Okay. Luger was awful.
Oh my God.
The Steiners were successful, but they
had great matches, but they didn't run the show the way they did in WCW.
Right. Okay. Good one.
That's fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
I really do. I like that segment.
So, yeah. If we still have time, there's businesses about to pick up. But
sure. Did I skip over that?
Done,
no.
That's fine.
We got 10 minutes.
And this is a good one to end on because we're talking about like the things that are leading up to the next pay-per-view, the angles, the way they're developing.
Yes. So Joe is the only reason I watch Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
I'm not finding much else.
I like Cesaro and Sheamus, and they happen to be fighting the Hardys, which is cool.
It is. But that's gotten a little tired, and I don't love where they go with these guys. Like, I don't
like the angle.
Cesaro and Sheamus is very fun to watch, you're right. But the angle's so stupid. The only thing that, like, I don't know, something about, like, Joe's music hitting and all that, like, it's the only thing that I love on Raw. How's that better?
And I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay.
You know, that is the draw.
So with that...
in Jericho's absence, especially.
Yeah.
Yes.
With that, let's talk about Joe and Brock. What do you think of the build?
I think it's fucking perfect, and I'm marking out super hard, and, you know...
it's been great.
Bull Dread would just be like, you mark, and that's fine, because, like, this is... I put on Facebook about how excited I am for this, and some chick that, you know, I'm friendly with was like, oh, I don't know. I don't like Samoa Joe. I don't think it's very good. I think it should have been, I don't even remember if she said Rollins. And I'm like, no, listen, this is a dream match because there was only one other company for a while, and it was TNA. And you think about who is the most legit, tough, badass motherfucker in TNA who will fuck you up, and it's Samoa Joe. And that's who Brock Lesnar is. And this is huge.
Without a doubt.
I didn't know that their stature was so close. I always thought Joe was kind of short.
No, not at all.
Dude.
And he might have risers in his boots, but that's okay.
It looks
maybe
like,
Brock had risers and he doesn't anymore.
It looks
because the other
like
guys
an
are
even
shorter.
match, dude.
It does. And I love that we know Joe's probably not going to win, right? But I love the fact that they're keeping that believability in Joe's character between the kick that he got in during the pull apart, the big pull apart, and then the coquina clutch this week. You know, that stuff.
Brock shot for a leg. And it looked like he was trying to take him down. I don't know. I mean, it's wrestling. It's a work. But he was, it looked to me like he was trying to take Samoa Joe down. And Samoa Joe was like, ah.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, Brock beat...
It's fun.
A year ago, almost to the date, Brock Lesnar beat Mark Hunt in the ring, but with takedown. In the octagon, with takedowns. Like,
sure.
Mark Hunt is no joke.
No
joke. So, yeah, we'll leave it at it is a work, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I want a Samoa Joe shirt like stat. Yeah. That shirt I will wear out.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
That's a cool shirt, too.
Yeah.
I like it.
I liked the Samoa Joe SoCal one better from NXT, but that sold out. They stopped selling that so quickly. But I liked it. I heard Samoa Joe on Chris Jericho's podcast over the last month or so, and man, Joe is the man. He's got some great knowledge of this thing called wrestling, and it's really just fascinating to hear his story in getting into the WWE because it's so different than everybody else's. And he it was on his terms, but it was like wasn't, and I still want to do this, yeah. And like they were just, and Triple H, according to Joe, just was honest with him the entire time. He's like, listen, I got no guarantees for you. I have no guarantees of what's going to happen, but come in NXT right now, and we'll put you on top.
We could use, a good hand, and
and then this is what it led to, and I think it's gonna continue. This, even if Joe loses to Brock, it's gonna still elevate him to the level where he needs to be. Definitely, yeah. Well, yeah.
After Ambrose lost to Lesnar, he won the WWF World Title. So.
Sure.
And I think Joe's work stands for itself as well. I think he's gonna deliver because he's been accused of phoning it in at times. Especially near the end of his TNA run.
Yeah,
he's been accused of not turning it on at all times.
Without a doubt,
I think he's going to turn it on for this, and I think he's going to get a lot of eyes on him.
I'd be interesting to find out in the next interview I hear from Joe. If I hope someone asks this, in TNA, like, I didn't like his promos. I very rarely was ever like, you know what, that was a great promo. Because he did a lot of screaming and a lot of yelling and a lot of just nothing he said really landed home. I feel like if he is scripted, then he is the best on-script person in the company. Because all the guys that we love to hear promos from are the ones that we know are the least scripted.
Yeah.
Your New Days, your Heymans, your Mizes. You know what I mean? And I think that Joe might be scripted back there. Either that or someone really dug their claws in him and said, slow it down. He just has a cadence that's so different right now. He's very methodical.
And that calm demeanor that he's just going to explode on you.
And he draws it out and he holds it in, but it's simplistic words. He's not using, any kind of crazy vocab or any kind of crazy vernacular or anything like that. It's just he's telling you what's going to happen in a way that I'm not hearing anyone else do. Mm-hmm. So, hey, I'm marking out for Joe too right now, but I think it's rightfully so, man. You can't watch that program and not be excited for this match. Thank God, because the pay-per-view is called Great Balls of Fire. Jukebox and song and all. How much do you think they paid for that goddamn song? You know how many royalties that song probably has attached to it?
Yeah. I'm excited for the next count of 5 worst pay-per-view names ever.
Sure.
I had to save it for the week that... Yeah.
Sure.
But... yeah, and then on the other side of the Universal title, Roman Reigns comes out and declares himself the first contender for SummerSlam when all signs point towards WrestleMania. So are they just hurrying it up? Or are they like, this isn't going to carry over? It's not what we want. Did they change their minds? Like, what does that look like to you?
It looks like the same guys who are writing Samoa Joe are not writing Roman Reigns. How the fuck is he allowed to declare his own match?
Yeah.
So that's what it seems like to me. I mean, listen, to answer your question, that belt could flip-flop in the fall, and they always try to do that somewhere around between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. They always have. The last few years, at least, the belt's been sort of all up in the air. Cena can come back, and Cena recently said this week actually that he wants Reigns, a program with Reigns, which is weird because that means between him and Big Show, I don't know who's on SmackDown and what. They just allowed to flip-flop back and forth.
Well, Cena, they're calling a free agent. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I saw that. But, I don't know. Does this mean that... because there's nothing for Braun, right? So he can't have the belt. So that feud's going to end right now at Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, I hope so. Because, I get it, and it's cool, and I think they actually bring out the best in each other. But because Roman, for a big guy, for a big muscly guy, he's a pretty good beat boy.
He sells well.
Yeah,
it's the hair.
The shit out of him.
It's the hair. Yeah. But he does sell well. He does sell very well. Listen, Roman's been putting on some good matches. I just don't know if guys should be declaring their number one contention. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any sense to me. Because if that's the case, then why have all that shit, the fatal 7-way or 6-way or whatever they had, and all that stuff for Joe to earn it, and we love that he earned it, and it made it that much more impressive. And now,
I'm Roman Reigns, so I beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, remember? So I'm gonna. I
mean, that's just for the heat when he says that.
But I mean, and it's perfect. I love how he does it, but that doesn't. You beat The Undertaker fucking 6 months ago.
I've heard
you don't get to just decide that you're the SummerSlam number one contender.
No. And if they just let him be, that's not going to sit well with me.
I mean, what do you mean?
That's going to kill that program.
Well, so you think Braun's just going to beat Reigns and then get the actual first contention?
I would like that. I would like it to be Braun and Brock at SummerSlam. That's what I want to see.
And I believe that was the original plan, according to the internet.
Why not?
Yeah.
I can't believe it's going to be Brock and Reigns again at WrestleMania.
I know. I hope not. I hope him challenging for SummerSlam, I hope that means it's not. I hope it's like, okay, you know what? We'll do it now.
Yeah.
I heard they did that with Brock and Undertaker. the last SummerSlam that was their last match against each other. They were trying to save it for Mania, and it was like, no, let's not do that. Let's do it now and just get it over with. That'd be great.
I heard that there was gonna be something with The Undertaker and Roman Reigns.
At Mania again?
No, at some time. Maybe this summer. I heard that from a few different places.
Maybe Survivor Series.
I don't want to see The Undertaker at all. How many more times do I have to say it on this broadcast?
One more time.
He can't move.
I want to see him one more time.
He can't wrestle. Like it's literally like life and death with this guy at this point. And for the WWE to just shit all over Daniel Bryan's aspirations and to shit all over Kurt Angle's aspirations, which his aspirations probably maybe he doesn't belong in a ring. I don't know. I know guy can't turn his head. So.
I think Angle's going to wrestle.
It's going to be Triple H.
Yeah, that's all right. You know what I mean? There's all these guys that like end up fighting Triple H, and it's like, okay, well, at least they're in the ring.
And it was a good match.
You know, Rollins at Mania was pretty good.
Favorite match.
Yeah,
one of them.
Yeah,
everyone bagged on that match, and everyone bagged on the Stephanie thing.
Whatever. I liked AJ and Shane too. I thought they way over delivered.
They did. They did over deliver.
Yeah.
But that's AJ.
But nothing beats Randy Orton riding a giant string of semen to the ring. That's awesome. Especially because
that match was fucking weird and stupid.
It was way stupid, and I heard him complaining about how Triple H gets all the cool entrances, and he's like, "And I had a big sperm." That's awesome.
Yeah, he said all that. He said all that stuff. All that stuff.
How do you feel about a Punjabi prison match between Jinder and Orton?
I don't even know why you would even consider going back to that well. Because that's a really expensive structure for a really shitty match. But hey, it'll probably be better. I've actually been enjoying these matches. There's a lot of nuances that are very old school. And as we said at the top of this broadcast, I am very old school in a lot of ways. I definitely am not that guy who shits on anything that the new school does. I love it all too.
Sure.
But there were a lot of slow and steady nuances, both on Jinder's side and Randy Orton's side, that really tied it together to being like a great match. And I thought that Money in the Bank pay-per-view was good because it had so much variety on it. You were able to see so many different things, all the different shit in there. And
it's just a shame they let Lana wrestle, but
oh my god,
that's neither here nor there.
That was. Yeah,
I hate to be the hater.
Yeah,
but
we're not going to even talk about that. But
don't
all the legend stuff that they did with the crowd, and Jinder's just that old school heel, and he wrestles accordingly when he put that figure 4 on, which looks good. He's vastly improving on a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And he says in the media, to anyone who will listen, that it's purely just putting in the time, having a better attitude. And he quit drinking, which
sure.
How many wrestlers? You
sure.
know, how many wrestlers? How many people do you know? Like, it's I don't know.
He's awfully vascular.
He's pretty vascular, but he hasn't failed the test yet.
You can very easily not fail those tests when they tell you it's coming, and when you're the guy who's supposed to be bringing in all the money from the country that has 1 billion people in it.
Oh.
You didn't know they do that?
Imagine.
You didn't know they did that? John Cena is in a documentary about steroids coming up. It's a mockumentary that is about it's called Tour de Juice or Tour de Pharma. Tour de Pharma is the name of it, and it's about it's Andy Samberg's take on bicycle racing. And John Cena is like the most sauced out, juiced up bicycle rider.
Oh man, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does sound awesome. But my point being is that certain men, it appears to me that they might be able to avoid a wellness test here and there. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think we covered pretty much everything. Carmella won. Straight up won. The second women's ladder.
I knew she was gonna after that promo.
Right.
That's a different character. Was she a different character after winning? Or did they close it? They just closed. Did they end it on that?
Well, I didn't. I have to confess, I did not see the match.
So, all right. So
I was training.
My apologies. This is the end anyway, and no one's really listening. But I will go see. I'll go watch that, and because I'm interested to see how Carmella's character changes from here. It was a very different character in that Carmella promo, and with her winning straight up and clean, it was a missed opportunity having Ellsworth banned from ringside. What I thought they were going to do is put him in a nice spot, and that way he's out of the match.
Like get hurt?
Yeah, giant spot
through a table. Yeah.
But anyway, it's great to be back. See you guys again next week for Shockmaster Grizz. Hitman, you need to get some lessons from Jinder Mahal. How to avoid these tests, bro. But for Brett the Hitman, Shockmaster Grizz, I am JoeMaga signing out. Boop.